Hello and welcome. It's 10 a.m. on Thursday, the 29th of May. You're tuned in to our mid-morning newscast here on ARIRANG TV. Let's take a look at what's making the headlines. President Park's Prime Minister nominee An Dae-hee withdraws from consideration following growing public criticism over his alleged ethical lapses. The United States has reportedly conducted a site survey for possible deployment locations for an advanced missile defense system in South Korea. Plus, Korea's central bank says the local economy picked up in April and May despite dipping consumer sentiment following last month's Sewol-ho ferry disaster. But our top story this morning, President Park's nominee for Prime Minister An Dae-hee has withdrawn his name from consideration over the controversy surrounding his high earnings as a lawyer. He made around $1.5 million in less than 6 months after he retired from his previous post as a Supreme Court Justice. Our Chae Yu-sun starts us off.
I'm stepping down as the nominee for Prime Minister. I'm sorry for disappointing the nation over allegations that I received privileges for my post.
At a press conference Wednesday, An said his nomination would only stand to burden the government and that it had already caused his family stress. He also apologized to the president for the recent dispute. An's withdrawal comes just 6 days after President Park tapped him to be her new prime minister, citing his principles and integrity, saying they would help him successfully carry out the much-needed reforms in the public sector and the government. But soon after he got the presidential nod, it was revealed he made about $1.5 million in a period of just 5 months working as a lawyer after leaving the Supreme Court. Although he had previously donated a third of the amount and said he would return the remaining $1 million to society earlier this week, that didn't stop the main opposition party from demanding his resignation. The presidential office, citing the chief of staff, said President Park seemed regretful upon receiving An's resignation just before the press conference. Wednesday's development is expected to put the brakes on the president's drive to restructure the government and to correct irregularities in the public sector in the aftermath of the Sewol-ho ferry disaster. At the National Assembly, the ruling Saenuri Party also expressed regret that An didn't get a chance to have his qualifications put to the test at a hearing. The opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy, on the other hand, gave a sigh of relief, then criticized the presidential office's incompetent personnel review system. Chae Yu-sun, ARIRANG News.
Now, staying with domestic politics, and with less than 1 week remaining before the June 4th local elections right here in Korea, poll numbers show the ruling party trailing in key races nationwide. But the party enjoys a decent level of support in Korea's 2 central provinces, where its candidates are locked in tight races against more liberal opponents. Our Myung-kil reports.
Korea's 2 Chungcheongdo provinces are not just in the center of Korea geographically, they also tend to be a litmus test for overall election results. It's why the leadership of Korea's 2 biggest political parties spent the first day of campaigning last week on the stump for local candidates in the 2 central provinces. And it's an especially important region for the ruling Saenuri Party for the elections this time round. Whereas public anger over last month's Sewol-ho ferry accident has had a notable impact negatively on ruling party candidates in Seoul and its surrounding areas, that sentiment hasn't quite extended to the 2 Chungcheongdo provinces. According to recent opinion polls conducted by ACE Research, the main opposition and ruling party candidates for governor are in neck-and-neck races there. Moreover, nearly a third of the region's voters are still undecided. And the Saenuri Party is faring far better in the races for mayor of 2 main Chungcheong cities of Daejeon and Sejong City. With the ruling Saenuri Party badly trailing in the vitally important races in the capital and nearby Incheon City, the 2 Chungcheongdo provinces represent its best hope for a victory in the June 4th local elections. Myung-kil, ARIRANG News.
Now, the United States is weighing up whether to deploy an advanced missile defense system in South Korea. The Pentagon is making a fresh push to expand a US-led system to its allies in Northeast Asia to counter the North Korean missile threat. Our Park Ji-won reports.
Quoting a Pentagon official, the Wall Street Journal reports that Washington has conducted a site survey for possible deployment locations in South Korea for its Theater High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD. No final decision has been made yet on the system, which is designed to intercept a diverse range of missiles. South Korean officials have long indicated that Seoul would prefer to develop its own defenses rather than taking part in the US-led system. With that in mind, the report quotes the Pentagon official as saying that the U.S. could deploy the THAAD system to South Korea for a temporary period and then replace it with another system purchased by Seoul. It could also let Seoul buy its own missile defense and have it jump ahead in the queue for the U.S. system. The vice chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, James Winnefeld, meanwhile, is calling for better regional missile defense cooperation between South Korea and Japan. Speaking at a seminar in Washington Wednesday, Winnefeld emphasized the importance of developing a regional missile defense system between its main allies to effectively counter North Korean threats. U.S. Congress also passed a bill last week calling on the Defense Secretary to assess the opportunities to strengthen ballistic missile defense cooperation among Seoul, Tokyo, and Washington. This is raising pressure on South Korea to join the U.S.-led missile defense system. Given Seoul's reluctance to join the U.S.-led system, the issue will expect it to be one of top agenda items at an upcoming trilateral meeting between the defense chiefs of South Korea, the U.S., and Korea. The officials are scheduled to meet on Saturday on the sidelines of the Asia Security Summit in Singapore. Park Ji-won, ARIRANG News.
A UN human rights office that aims to monitor human rights conditions in North Korea will be set up here in South Korea. The Geneva-based office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights said Wednesday that its field-based structure will be set up in Seoul after the South Korean government agreed to the establishment. The decision to open the Seoul office was made after the UN Human Rights Council adopted a report in March denouncing North Korea's systematic human rights violations. The field office will be set up in the latter half of this year.
Get connected to Korea and the world. Join us every weekday for the latest developments out of Korea, Asia, and beyond. On air, on your mobile, and online, we lead the way every day. ARIRANG News.
To try and resolve the crisis in Ukraine, the European Union also offers $15 billion. Now, Korea's growth forecast for the year has been revised down by a state-run economic think tank due in large part to sluggish domestic consumption in the wake of the Sewol-ho ferry disaster. The Korea Development Institute's downward revision has raised red flags at another economic institution. Our Kim Ji-yeon has this report.
Slow recovery following sluggish domestic consumption is prompting institutions to slash their growth projection for the Korean economy. Much of it has to do with consumers spending less after the Sewol-ho ferry disaster in April, which the Korea Economic Research Institute says has raised red flags.
Forecasts for private consumption and household spending fell, and they're not expected to pick up anytime soon. Private consumption has not increased in the past 2 quarters, as it was fueled by negative consumer sentiment following the Sewol-ho disaster.
The state-run economic policy think tank, the Korea Development Institute, has cut the country's growth forecast to 3.7% this year, down 0.2 percentage point from previous estimates. Finance Minister Hyun Oh-seok also voiced concerns that a freeze in consumer sentiment could slow down the Korean economy. Retail and leisure sectors were among those most affected by the ferry incident, according to reports by the Bank of Korea released on Wednesday. A need to contain saying this sentiment from further spreading into the corporate circle is gaining weight as it could add uncertainties hampering business investments. Senior researcher of the KERI, Myung-kil, suggests getting a verdict on some 300 bills stalled at the National Assembly concerning labor laws that could make it harder for employers to lay off employees and shorten working hours. Kim Ji-yeon, ARIRANG News.
Now, the Korean economy remained on a recovery path in April and May, although spending slowed as last month's ferry sinking dampened, as the report said, consumer sentiment. This, according to the Bank of Korea's Golden Book, which is the equivalent to the US Federal Reserve's Beige Book, and this book monitors economic activities in 7 regional areas. It notes Korea's manufacturing sector has seen some improvements in overseas shipments and production. A vastly different story in terms of consumer sentiment, though. Korea's retail and service sectors have seen sales slump since the ferry disaster on April 16th, but the report expects a rebound in May. Part of President Park Geun-hye's vision for improving inter-Korean relations includes establishing a peace park within the demilitarized zone dividing the 2 Koreas. Experts from all around the world came to Seoul on Wednesday to discuss the possibility of getting this extremely ambitious project off the ground. Our Shin Se-min reports.
It is with this vision in mind that I hope to work toward an international park inside the DMZ.
During her speech to U.S. Congress in 2013, President Park outlined her plan to create a peace park within Korea's heavily fortified demilitarized zone. The area is a visible reminder of the division of the 2 Koreas, but experts say the peace park could be a step forward to bringing them back together. A group of experts gathered at a symposium in Seoul Wednesday to discuss practical ways to begin the Peace Park project. Participating German experts spoke from experiences with their German Greenbelt, a strip of land on their former inner German border that has since been turned into a landmark similar to what many envisioned the DMZ Peace Park could become. The German participants said the DMZ project would emerge as a channel in bridging the 2 Koreas diplomatically. To move closer to a peaceful unification and to preserve the ecosystem in the zone, experts say both Koreas need to be on the same page and take part in the project. And that is a challenge. Hans Schadl, a political science professor at Yonsei University, said the project will be met with difficulties without the full cooperation of the 2 Koreas, the public, and the international community.
The South Korean initiative still has some work to do in terms of figuring out how to convince the U.S. and North Korea that a DMZ peace park will not be destabilizing, that the DMZ peace park would not trigger further conflict.
Shin Se-min, ARIRANG News.
Now, the global healthcare industry is booming globally, but especially so in Asia with its rapidly aging population and state-of-the-art technology. Healthcare devices are even going mobile now to suit patients' needs. For more on this emerging mobile trend, our Yulian filed this report from Asia's biggest healthcare congress on the outskirts of Seoul.
The Global Healthcare and Medical Tourism Conference is a chance for medical institutions to showcase their latest technologies. This booth, set up by a plastic surgery hospital, caught the eye of visitors by providing a unique consulting experience. Now, with my pictures taken, this special camera will come up with a 3D image of my face, which we can use to apply different types of surgeries. In just about 5 minutes, the consultant shows me with more refined eyes, a pointier nose, and a slimmer facial outline. While Korea is best known for its cosmetic surgery, the conference showed how local medical companies are jumping into the new industry of mobile healthcare devices. Take this portable heart monitor, for example.
The device can send the collected data to your smartphone via Bluetooth. You can then send it to your doctor directly.
Experts say the demand for such mobile health devices will rise.
As people live longer, there's a greater desire to take care of their health themselves. A lot of data has been made available through different sensor technologies. There's a rise in businesses that provide health services utilizing that data.
The abundance of data also enables doctors to treat their patients better.
And when you get that kind of information, you can have for the doctor a specific and also a clear diagnostic.
Melick says devices like this medicine dispenser are useful for patients who oftentimes forget to take their medicine.
The pharmacists have information that you take the right pill at the right time, and also is the patient send back the information about the compliance.
More personalized medical services that save travel time for patients who can keep their health in check at home. Experts say mobile healthcare devices that allow for that will make up a huge bulk of the global health industry. Yurian, ARIRANG News.
Time now for a look through the international headlines we're following this morning. For that, we turn to our Eunice Kim, standing by at the News Center. Now, Eunice, US President Barack Obama has presented what he says is a new foreign policy direction for the US, and this stance is decidedly less go it alone, shall we say.
Hi, Mark. That's right. He's spelled out an American foreign policy that takes a more supportive form, coalition-driven, if you will. Addressing fresh graduates of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, President Obama said America would still lead on the global stage, but by partnering with other states to fight the increasingly diffused form of terror, which he said remained the most direct threat to American society. He said it was naive and unsustainable to invade every country that harbors terrorist networks, announcing a $5 billion terrorism partnership fund to help countries fight extremists. The U.S. leader did keep large-scale military operations on the table, though, for where core American interests are threatened. Obama's speech is being seen as a response to critics who have accused the president of being too soft on Syria, Russia, and China. The Thai military has blocked access to Facebook in hopes of quieting online protests against the coup d'etat declared last week. Initially, authorities had said a technical glitch had downed the popular social media site, but the country's information technology minister later confirmed that the temporary block was deliberate, meant to prevent anti-junta protests. Meanwhile, authorities relaxed its curfew to 4 hours from midnight to 4 a.m. in an attempt to lessen the coup's impact on the country's tourism industry. An army spokesman also said 124 of the 253 politicians and activists they had summoned following the launch of the coup have been released. U.S. health officials are retracting an earlier report of a man-to-man transmission of the Middle East respiratory syndrome. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued a revised diagnosis after additional testing showed that an Illinois man did not, after all, contract the virus from a doctor who had traveled from Saudi Arabia. They said they had made the initial conclusion based on the presence of antibodies in the man from Illinois, but tests for the presence of the actual MERS virus had come up negative. The mysterious virus has killed at least 175 people, mostly in the Middle East. And finally, Forbes magazine has released its annual list of 100 women it deems most powerful this year. And among them were business leaders, activists, billionaires, celebrities, and 14 incumbent heads of state. Topping the list was German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who is no stranger to the honor, as she has been on it 9 times before. And among the newcomers are Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen, General Motors CEO Mary Barra, and President of Harvard University Drew Gilpin-Faust. And as you can see there, Korea's own President Park Geun-hye also appears on the list at number 11.
And a good Thursday morning to you all as we kick things off with the final home tune-up match between the 55th ranked South Korea and the 49th ranked Tunisia, which took place at the Seoul World Cup Stadium. Now, with the recent tragic Sewol-ho ferry accident, the Red Devils cheering squad did not cheer for the first 16 minutes of the match, with 16 representing the number of victims that have yet to be found. But once the match started getting loud is when Korea started stepping up their offense, but misses out on several scoring opportunities. Looked to be a scoreless first half until Korea loses concentration on the backfield as Dawadi sends one past the goalkeeper here, Chungcheong-do, and it's now 1-0 Tunisia at the half. Second half, Korea continues to get aggressive on the offense, but still unable to score as Tunisia ends up winning this match 1-0, with the team now set to leave to Miami tomorrow. And now moving over to swimming, where the 2014 Incheon Asian Games Organizing Committee invited the members of the Seoul Foreign Correspondents Club on a press tour, and Marine boy Park Tae-hwan was there for a press conference. The Olympic swimmer stated that he's been training very hard throughout the year and will be looking forward to the Rio Olympics, which will take place in 2016. He added that he was disappointed in his results in London, but will look to break the world record in Rio. And with fans looking forward to the big matchup against his rival Soon-young in the upcoming Asian Games in Incheon, he hopes to finish with a winning result. And moving over to badminton, where for the first time in Korea, a pro badminton league started their season in Gumi. With a total of 24 teams in the Badminton Korean League, 12 teams in the men's and women's league began their first round of games on Wednesday and will go on until Sunday. Each team will play 11 games in the season, with the top 6 teams in each league qualifying to play for the title. Meanwhile, Samsung Electronics look to be the favorites, as the team includes national team members like Lee Yong-dae, Kim Gi-jung, and Kim Sa-rang. And now moving over to some Wednesday night's KBO action, where the NC Dinos score 18 times for the second straight night, beating the Hanwha Eagles 18-1, with the Nexon Heroes coming back to beat the SK Wyverns 7-5, and Samsung Lions rallied to beat the LG Twins 7-4. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Doosan Bears take on the Kia Tigers. Now, the second inning of the game with men on second and third. Here we have Cha Il-mo double to left center. 2-man scores, and it's now 2-0 Kia. Next play, Lee Dae-hyung at bat, an RBI single to center field, and it's 3-0. Moving over to the third inning, Doosan gets on board thanks to Oh Jae-won's RBI double, as he now has a 20-game hitting streak going on. But in the bottom of the inning, Na Ji-won drills this ball to deep left field, and there it goes, gone, and it's 4-1. Seventh inning with Kia up 6-1. Min Byung-hun with a 2-run double to left field cuts the deficit to 6-3. But check this out, ninth inning of the game, Lee Won-suk to start things off sends this one to deep left center field, no doubt about it. Next play, Chung Soo-bin sends this one just over the reach of Lee Dae-hyung, an RBI double, and it's now 6-5. Next play here, Kim Hyun-soo at bat. The first pitch he sees singles to left, and we're tied 6-6. But we're not done yet. Hong Sung-eun drills this one to deep left center field, and a 2-run shot, and Doosan has the lead 8-6. Now, Doosan Bears would score 7 runs in the 9th inning and rally to win this game 10-6, your final score. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Well, today should be hotter than yesterday across the region. High in Seoul will hover 31 degrees Celsius, and Daegu is expected to soar to 33. So today should be marked as the hottest day of the season in most areas. And lingering yellow dust continues to blanket the peninsula, so it might be another dusty day today, and the nation is expected to be hit by the yellow dust by the end of the week. And due to a dazzling sunshine that we're going to have today, the UV level will be higher than usual. So don't forget to apply a good amount of sunblock before heading out today. And it just feels more like July or August than May these days. And it's only going to get hotter. So please take good care of your health. Now moving over to Chungcheongdo, winds and waves should be much calmer compared to yesterday under mostly sunny skies. With that in mind, let's take a closer look at the readings for today. The afternoon high in Seoul and Gwangju should rise to 31, and Daegu tops out at 33, and Busan should climb to 27 later on. Now for other regions, it looks like down on Jeju and Dokdo should see a high of 26 and 25 respectively. Daejeon will reach 31, while Mount Kumgang tops out at 23. Well, that's all for now, but I'll be back with more updates after noon.
Thank you very much, Jeon, for the weather there. And that's all we have for now. We'll be back with another newscast at noon Korea time. Until then, goodbye.